So let me say a few words about the restoration of devolution. Obviously, I believe it was not only welcome, and I'm sure you would all agree with that, but absolutely essential. And the clear message from not only our voters, but also all the people across Northern Ireland was that we could not continue to drift after 3 years without local decisions on everyday issues like our roads, our schools, and of course our health service. The vacuum could never provide businesses with the clarity, certainty and long-term stability to plan for the future. And there's certainly enough blame to go around as to who was responsible for the deadlock, but as far as I'm concerned, that's in the rear-view mirror, that's history, and it's time to look forward and to get Northern Ireland moving in the positive direction again. And the results in the recent election on either side of the border have, I think, demonstrated that the electorate here are more focused on what we call bread and butter issues, but for everybody other than politicians, it's real life. In the Republic of Ireland's general election, the Irish Times RTE exit poll highlighted that 32% of Sinn Féin voters said that healthcare was the issue motivating their vote, as opposed to 1% who said Brexit was their big issue. Not taking away from the Brexit issue, but I think it's clear that the public are not interested in divisive referendums or indeed the politics of a border poll. They are interested in real life. And that's not to say we will be complacent in defending and indeed promoting the overwhelming social and economic benefits of being part of the United Kingdom. But right now, the real priority should be to make Northern Ireland a better place, and here I'm paraphrasing what Michael had to say, a better place to live, work, grow up, raise a family, and to do business. So it's time for us to deliver on better hospitals, on our schools estate, our infrastructure, and to do all of that through working together in our devolved government. That was certainly our basis in the multi-party talks prior to Christmas. And whilst the final deal is not perfect, we do believe it is a fair and balanced settlement which recognises that there are people living here in Northern Ireland who are British, who are Irish, who are Northern Irish, or indeed maybe part of a new emerging identity who want to make their home here in Northern Ireland. And I want everyone to feel at home here regardless of their identity, and no one should feel that their identity is being threatened or indeed denigrated. And I know that it won't all be plain sailing over the next couple of years, certainly not. Mistakes will probably be made, but we should be ambitious, we should be flexible about what we can achieve. And we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that the very best way, from my perspective as a Unionist, the very best way of countering the case for Irish unity is actually to create a social, thriving and economically prosperous Northern Ireland where everyone, everywhere has a true stake in their future. And that, of course, ladies and gentlemen, is where you come in. We need your help. Building a regional economy that is dynamic and successful should be our collective priority, and that has to be a two-way street. We encourage your insight and ideas as we seek to capitalise on the blank page which has been afforded to us by the return of devolution. And my policy team is here this morning. They're keen to engage, and so don't be a stranger in relation to speaking to us about new ideas. And I've listened very carefully, for example, to what Michael has to say about measuring of jobs, and do we need to look at productivity, because as we all know productivity is a big issue for us here in Northern Ireland, and it's something that we need to listen to in relation to the business community. Because there should be no doubt about this party's commitment to business and the local economy. In the last executive, we were proud to lead record levels of foreign direct investment and job creation. And it was partly for that reason, again, that we made the Department for the Economy our first choice in the Duhont procedure. We will take on the mantle of promoting the best economic opportunities for our young people, trying to attract new investment, and indeed building a competitive ecosystem and environment conducive to doing business. I'm really delighted to have been able to appoint my new Economy Minister as Diane Dodds. Diane has, of course, a wealth of experience in navigating European Union policy and indeed the Brexit negotiations. And I think it is a reflection of our number one priority, being the economy, yet again, that I put somebody of Diane's ability into the role as Economy Minister. And we want to ensure that the Brexit legislation, of course, is implemented in a way that protects Northern Ireland's interests and businesses, and that we are well equipped to adapt to any new rules that come. And our opposition, of course, to elements of the withdrawal agreement and the Northern Ireland Protocol within it is no secret. And we believe, and indeed I said it to the new Secretary of State today, we believe that the UK government must honour its commitment to guaranteeing unfettered access for our local businesses to the United Kingdom internal market. A market which, of course, accounts for over 70% of our trade in and out of Belfast Harbour, and a vital source of raw materials and goods for our major retailers as well. Just let me say a few words about the agri-food and fisheries sector. Of course, this trade is the bedrock of household incomes in every corner of Northern Ireland. In 2017, almost half of all of Northern Ireland food and drink sales were to Great Britain, valued at over £2.3 billion. And in 6 out of 10 of agri-food sectors, Great Britain was the largest market for us. Sales of beef and sheep meat were worth 927 million, almost 11 times as much as those destined for the Republic of Ireland. So the importance of access to Great Britain, to the 5th largest global economy, should not be underestimated. And we will continue to work at Westminster, through our MPs, and indeed through executive level, to put in place the greatest safeguards against any potential disruption. And in the same vein, we will prioritise a new system of direct payments to farmers that benefit production, profitable and sustainable agriculture. And I know Edwin Poots is very much focused on that as the new Agriculture Minister. For our fishermen, of course, there can be no false dawn either. We will advocate for a fair and balanced deal on trade and access to waters within the European Union. The local industry is not anti-trade or cooperation, but rightly insist that Northern Ireland vessels must see real benefits, including new opportunities and new investment outside the damaging common fisheries policy. And it is wrong that while 70% of the Irish Sea falls within the United Kingdom jurisdiction, Northern Ireland fishermen are only allocated 40% of the catch opportunity. So it's something we will pursue. We need to make sure that our rural and our coastal communities have good business opportunities moving forward. But it would be wrong of me not to mention the importance of access to labour as well. And I know it's a huge issue for a lot of businesses right across Northern Ireland. It impacts greatly upon many sectors, agri-food, fisheries, hospitality, construction. And so we do need to see a twin-track strategy in relation to this, and one which addresses the current mismatches and gaps in the workforce that we have here in Northern Ireland, and allows for short and indeed medium-term certainty through skilled and unskilled labour from other countries. Now, the revised proposal from the Migration Advisory Committee to drop the salary threshold by 4,000 is a step in the right direction, and comes after many, many meetings to try and deal with this issue. I remember meeting the erstwhile Chancellor Sajid Javid when he was in the Home Office about this very issue. That shows you how long ago it is that we have been talking about this issue. But we must continue to advocate for more regional flexibility to put our local businesses on a stable footing and reflect our unique position in sharing a land border with the Republic of Ireland. And I think that is very important, because we need to know what they are doing in relation to migration and to make sure that we don't lose our competitive edge in relation to labour. We do, of course, also want to see reassurances that our consumers here will be able to benefit from any new free trade deal struck by the United Kingdom government after Brexit. We are clear that it should not usher in the flow of cheaper, lower standard food produce, which of course would undercut our own producers. But our citizens in citizens of the other parts of the UK have access to new services and products, then we believe that local communities here in Northern Ireland should have that access as well. So I've already alluded to the New Decade New Approach Agreement and the fact that it does offer us a new platform to deal with economic issues. And the major building block will be a multi-year budget to streamline our public finances, and that can give better certainty to industry, to public services, and to our community and voluntary sector. And we have, of course, also committed to investing to maximise the potential offered by city deals, to boost productivity and ensure the benefits for economic growth are distributed to every part of Northern Ireland. Of course, that will require joined-up thinking by our executive team. And this time around, I think it is significant that all major parties have chosen to enter the devolved administration. Given the diverse range of challenges affecting firms in Northern Ireland, this buy-in and indeed, I hope, cross-departmental potential should, I hope, be welcomed. And for me, it's about harnessing that potential. We have the New Decade New Approach prioritises significant investment in major infrastructure projects, and of course that chimes with what the Prime Minister has been talking about, and indeed expansion of learning opportunities in the Northwest and Magee. And it's essential that we get all of this right. We will of course be holding both the United Kingdom government and indeed the Irish government for the financial commitments that they have made, and we must ensure that projects are based on need, viability, and indeed complements the services that are already paying dividends here in Northern Ireland. So preparing well for the future requires forward thinking and long-term strategy, and it's our job to harness the needs of local firms, creating synergies between education routes at all levels and likely skills demands. And Diane tells me the one issue that keeps coming up again when she's talking to people right across Northern Ireland is the need for better skills development. The Shared Prosperity Fund, which is also something that we've talked about a lot in this past period of time but haven't seen much delivery on, is something that we very much want to see taken forward, because that will allow us to have that collaboration in research and innovation in projects in the EU and indeed further afield as well. And we must be careful not to stifle the growth of businesses, but instead give incentives for startups and indeed upsizing as well, because that's always a challenge here in Northern Ireland, moving from the startup position to the medium-sized firm. We must ensure firms investing in Northern Ireland get a fair return for their contributions by abolishing the apprenticeship levy, which just has not worked in Northern Ireland. We have to be upfront and absolutely say that. And of course we need to look at the reval, which is going on by the Department of Finance at present, and the fact that 1 in 4 local businesses are seeing an increase in their rates valuation. So there is much to do, but at the core of everything must be that desire of ours to showcase Northern Ireland and to support our firms to be leading edge, not just in Northern Ireland, not just in the United Kingdom, but globally. And I think, for instance, of the work that we're doing on cybersecurity being carried out by those in the knowledge economy, and we should look very serious at the merits of making Northern Ireland a national hub for issues such as cybersecurity, because we have the capability, and I think we need to harness that. Let me say a couple of quick words on tourism. Old habits die hard. It is so important that we continue to showcase our tourism potential. Statistics produced by Tourism Northern Ireland's Visitor Attitude Survey this week show that 96% of visitors felt that their tourism experience in Causeway Coast and Glens met or exceeded their expectations. I think that's quite staggering. I also think that the other 4% must have been in Fermanagh at the time. But whether it's in Castlecool or Crum or indeed in the Giant's Causeway, we do have to recognise the importance of tourism as a growth driver in Northern Ireland. It's a major employer, and we very much want to support the tourism industry and the hospitality industry as we move forward. So let me conclude by saying that the path to delivering on a positive and ambitious vision, which I hope I've set out very briefly this morning, will not be easy. There'll undoubtedly be bumps along the road, but I think there's a responsibility on those of us who have the great privilege to be elected representatives in Northern Ireland, to work collectively together to do what is right for our households and families right across Northern Ireland. That's going to require patience. It will require, dare I mention the word, compromise, and it will require building consensus. And I listened to a senior politician in the United States recently, not that one, talking recently about how we can support people into education and into the job market. And she noted that it is impossible for someone to lift themselves up by the bootstraps. And of course she's right. What we need to do in government and in business is to give people a helping hand and to give everyone a proper stake in determining their future. We do all have a role to play. I look forward, and I was very pleased to hear Michael talking about how much he loved Northern Ireland. It's something I talk about a lot. I have a hashtag of proud of Northern Ireland. I am incredibly proud of Northern Ireland, but we need to work together to get us all moving in the right direction again. And I hope I can rely on your support to do that. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you.